Hello viewers, this is Authentic Plus TV. I am your man Jabril. Today it's a beautiful day and we are going to have a very beautiful discussion. With me to do the discussion is Alhaji Dr. Sheikh Ibrahim Abbas. And we are going to have a very beautiful discussion. So first of all, we want to know about the Zongos. When we say Zongo, first of all, what is a Zongo? And what constitutes the Zongos? What do we mean when we say Zongo? And many more. So be with us as we share our experiences and knowledge about these Zongos that we've always been saying, Zongo, Zongo. I am a Zongo boy. I am a Zongo boy, meaning you are living in a Zongo. Madina Zongo, Kaneshi Zongo, Sukura, Nima, Madina, Mamubi. We are referring to Zongos. Today, we want to find out, when we say Zongos, what do we mean, Mr. Abbas? But before we do that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you very much, Mr. Jibril. My name is Abbas Ibrahim. I live at Town Council Line, a suburb of Sabun Zongo. I'm also an environmental health officer with working with Ablekuma Central Municipal Assembly. We look at the sanitation situations within our environment. And so Abbas Ibrahim is a native of, let me say, Zongo. And I'm also proud to be a person from Zongo. Yes.
Okay. Then, I think we are speaking with the right person. So, what is a Zongo?
When we say Zongo, the actual word is Zango. Zango. Zango means a place where we call it a transit point. Zongo started way back, pre-colonial, colonial era till date. You realize that the people of Zongo are made up of people from northern origin. They come from the northern part of Nigeria. Some are also coming from the northern part of Ghana, Benin, Burkina Faso, Niger, and so on and so forth. And so they come and stay at a place as a transit point. Basically, what they come to do is to trade. And so after trading, then they go back to where they are coming from. And so years went by. They stayed at that particular area. They married. They gave birth. And these children happened to stay at those Zongos. And so today we'll say that the Zongos, instead of a transit point, now it is a permanent place for the people living within the Zongo. But they do travel to go back to their country and then come back in the reason of what? Trading. So that is it.
So how has it now become a permanent residence of, these people who are actually meant to transit, at that very location? Now, Zongos, as we see, are no more transit points, but permanent location and then residency. What occasion that?
Well, as you come to trade, our forefathers saw to it that, yes, it is not a permanent place, but a transit point. But it got to a time where marriage took place. So as they marry, the children do go and then they come back. And so these children happens to stay at where they are. Some don't even know where the origin of their fathers are. And so those children will grow, marry, give birth. This is how it started till we are seeing what we are seeing today. Some know where they are coming from, others don't even know where they are coming from. And so and so most of them are indigenes of the country. Some are even moved from the Zongo to buy lands and then put up buildings elsewhere, but they still take root that this is where they are coming from. And so it is not surprising the forefathers have died, leaving their children. Their children are also giving birth. This is how it started, and today you have the genealogy of people living within the Zongo community.
Okay, okay, that's okay. So now, let's look at the lifestyle of a Zongo person. What identifies somebody from a Zongo?
Most of these people are coming from the northern part of the country, especially Nigeria, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, and so on and so forth. And these people are mostly Muslims, and so they practice Islamic religion. And so when you visit the Zongos, over 98% of these populations are Muslims. And so that is the first identity. And the second identity, because the idea of they coming to transit in that Zongo is to trade. Most of them are into trading, buying and selling. Quite apart from that, they are also into animal rearing. So you see them rearing goats, sheep, cattle, and so on and so forth. And other things that you can think of. Basically, they are people that are creative. They are very, very creative. So you see some of them into other ventures. They don't want to work under somebody. They are creative. They are working in order to make their what? Livelihood. Basically, that is what they do. They are into buying and selling, and then animal rearing. So as they rear the animal, they sell, make money, and then buy another one, rear, and then sell. They are into this kind of business till date. So when you visit the Zongos, most of their occupation has to do with what? Buying and selling.
Okay, okay, okay. So when we go to the Zongos, what other tribes or what other group of different ethnic backgrounds are we going to see apart from these people you have identified?
Well, let me be specific to Sabon Zongo, which is right here with closer to us. When you visit Sabon Zongo, you have different tribes like Ewes, Gans, Ashantis, Dagombes, Kokombes, Nanumbes, Houses, different types of what? Tribal groups. But there is one particular language within that catchment area, which is Hausa. So don't be surprised if you visit the Zongo, you realize that the major language that is being spoken over there is the Hausa language. You see a Gaman, if he speaks the Hausa, you'll be surprised. You see an Ewe, if he speaks the Hausa, you'll be surprised. Even though you have different tribes, but the major language over there is the Hausa language.
Okay, so the Hausa, can we then say that the Hausa language makes it very difficult for you to identify who is actually the original Zangu or Zongo people?
Well, you see, the originators of that locality are people from the northern Nigeria, and they are the houses. They are the indigenes of that Zongo. And so the dominant language or the origin of the language is the Hausa. And so whoever comes and then stay there always takes that shine, which is what? The Hausa language. And so even though you have an Ewe, but still see yourself to be speaking what? The Hausa. But still, the Ewe language is still there. But the dominant language over there is the Hausa language.
It's the Hausa language.
Yeah.
Okay. The Zongo people are noted for violence. Or let me put it this way: the Zongo people are violent. What is your response?
It is rather unfortunate that people have this misconception. The fact that you have a few people who are practicing a vice doesn't qualify the entire community to be named as what? Violent people. If you visit other communities, you see similar characteristics. But we don't lump all the people within that community as violent people. And mind you, the people living within the Zongos are Muslims. And already people have the misconception about Islam as what? A violent religion. And so they have taken that misconception to tag the Zongo people, which is totally wrong. I will not sit here and say that we don't have some people who are violent. Never. But to lump everybody to say that they are violent, I beg to differ. Let me take this opportunity to let the youth within the Zongo to know that the tag violent is just not the best. And so this is an opportunity that we need to take seriously and change that misconception. Why is it that when it is time for election, some politicians would like to visit the Zongo, get them to foment trouble? These are all some of the misconceptions. It is not only Zongo that these so-called politicians visit. They visit other communities to get them in order to what? To foment trouble. But why is it that we are generalizing the entire Zongo people as violent people? It is not fair. It is just not fair. We have good people within the Zongo communities. We have scholars. We have malams. We have doctors. Mind you, even Dr. Baumia, the wife, are all coming from the Zongo community. So why lump everybody as violent people? As I sit here, am I violent? Not at all. Even though we have one or two people within the community who are engaged into that, but that doesn't give us the yardstick to generalize every Zongo person as what? A violent. Even look at our blasters, the Ghana Blaster team. Don't we have Zongo people playing for the Ghana Blaster? Are they violent? If they are violent, would they be invited into the national team? As we speak now, Kudus, everywhere you go in Ghana and elsewhere, Kudus' name is being mentioned everywhere. He has now signed for West Ham. Is he violent? But he's also what? A Zongo person. And so this misconception needs to stop. That notwithstanding, the youth within Zongo who are also engaged into that must also what? Put a stop to it. Mind you, as I said, over 98% of the people living within the Zongos are Muslims, which means they practice Islam. And Islam is what? Peace. If it is peace, therefore, we should get everybody within Zongo community to be practicing what? Peace. And therefore, this misconception about Zongos being tagged as violent people is rather unfortunate. It's rather unfortunate. Thank you.
Yeah. Following up to, what you have just said, it's quite the case that when politicians seriously are looking for people to foment trouble or to destabilize whatever situation they want to do, they fall on the Zongo youth. So being, an advocate for peace and then knowing what the Islam or the religion stands for, and people going to the Zongos, what will you tell the politicians themselves in the first place?
In the first place, a politician will never use his relative to go and foment trouble. When they use you, mind you, they will dump you. When they use you and they get whatever they have gotten, they will never employ you. They will dump you. That is where the issue of what? Documentation comes in. And therefore, why won't you rather focus on your education? Focus on your education. Get your document instead of going or following a politician who will never solve your problem for you. Just a temporary problem. He will give you 100 cedis, 200 cedis. That's all. Focus on your education. If any politician comes to you to hire you to go and foment trouble elsewhere, to go and snatch ballot box elsewhere, the best you can tell him is to what? Defend, he should fund or sponsor your education. Because the education is key. If you get the education, you have everything. You have the money and you can do whatever you like. Then also, let's focus on our what? Trading. If you are busy in your work, nobody will come and then use you to go and get or foment any trouble. And so if you engage yourself in any meaningful venture, that will help you and no politician will come to you, hire you to go and foment trouble. If he comes to you, let him go and take his son or daughter to go and foment that trouble, but not you.
Okay. Are you welcoming people? The Zongos, are you welcoming people?
In fact, Zongo people are peace-loving people. Zongo people are peace-loving people. We love people. We don't hate people. We don't discriminate. We don't discriminate at all. We love people. But what we hate is looking at somebody's face, knowing very well that this person doesn't like it, and you deliberately do any bad thing to a Zongo person. For that one, a Zongo man will resist it. What we hate is to disrespect us, is to disregard us. We are peace-loving people. We love everyone. But what we hate is to what? Disregard, disrespect us. For that one, they will not succumb to that.
Do you think that at a point in time you are seen as second-class people or disregarded?
I will not say so. It depends upon how you carry yourself. I will not say so. It will depend upon how you carry yourself. As I speak to you, in my office, I'm the assistant. If I didn't go to school, will I get that position? This is what we are calling for. Let's make sure that the Zongos, the Zongo people, every nook and cranny of the economy, we should have our people there. Anything shorter than that will be regarded as what? Second-class people. We have the brain, we have the talent, and we can do it. And it's better we go for it, so that when they are calling people, will also be what? Be mentioned. That is why we need to take advantage of any situation that government provides, whether be it education, be it economic, be it social or whatever. Let's take that advantage so that we make good use of it, so that at the end of the day will also be what? Be meaningful to the society. That is the only thing that can help all of us. And by so doing, we will bring down or reduce poverty situation in our Zongos. Mind you, one of the key things that we also find in our Zongo is what? Unemployment. And people take advantage of what? The unemployed youth to go and foment what? Trouble. But that is not the case. We have a lot of opportunities that we can tap in. We shouldn't disregard any work. We are here, somebody will come from a village to come and start making what? Shoe shine. to come and start doing something we will look down upon it. But at the end of the day, that person's status will what? Will change. Why are we disregarding or looking down upon certain work? If it is cleaning, we should get involved. And if we are to do it, we must do it better. We shouldn't be lazy. Laziness is not the best. Even the Prophet ﷺ forbid what? Laziness. If you are lazy, you will never have food to eat. And so we must make sure that laziness shouldn't be part of us. We must what? Make sure that whatever we are doing, that will bring us food on the table. Bearing in mind that we must go in for something what? Meaningful and legal. Meaningful and then what? Legal. As a Muslim, you must know what is good and what is bad, what is halal and what is haram. Don't go in for anything haram, but go in for something what? Halal. And I believe that Almighty God will bless it, even if it is small.
Do you think that the children or the youth within the Zongos are taking education serious?
Yes, they are taking education serious. If you look at what is happening now and you visit our schools, the Muslim girl and boy are there in their numbers. And that is a very good sign. And that gives us a very bright future, which we think if we should continue by it, it will help the society and it will shape the society, and then it will also change the narrative that people have about some misconception about what Zongos being what? Violent. It is only education that will change the status quo. Otherwise, we'll still what? Fall behind and be regarded as what? Second class people, which is not the best for the Zongo community.
Okay. So at this point, I will give you 1 minute, your final words to the whole world watching you about the misconception or the perception out there that the Zongo people are violent. I want you to use 1 minute or two to clarify everything once and for all.
I will not sit here and say that we don't have miscreants within the Zongo community. I will not sit here and tell you that everything is 100% within the Zongo community. We have the bad knot among the Zongo community. But that doesn't mean that we must generalize the entire Zongo people as corrupt, as violent people. If you do that, you are not being fair to the Zongo people. Let me also take the opportunity and tell the youth of Zongo that let's use our time wisely. Let's be conscious about whatever we do, because whatever you do, people are watching and people will tag you as what you do. If you are doing something good, they will not see, but something bad, that is where they will trumpet it and say that you are violent. Let's understand that that tag is just not the best. We must try as much as possible to change that narrative, to change that status quo, and to change that misconception. And that will go a long way to help us today and in future.